Have you ever stopped to think about how secure your email actually is? Today, we're going to dive deep into a super important security layer that's working behind the scenes to protect us all, a system that most people have never even heard of. Let's get right into it. All right, let's kick things off with a number that's, well, it's pretty shocking, 96%. That's how many phishing attacks, those scammy emails trying to steal your info, come directly through your email inbox. It's the number one way the bad guys get in. And the scale of this whole thing is it's mind-boggling. Every single day, there are about 3.4 billion malicious emails flying around the internet. It's a literal tidal wave of spam and scams hitting us constantly. So you gotta ask, right? Why is email so vulnerable? Well, the answer goes all the way back to the beginning. There's a hidden flaw baked into the very design of email itself. And this right here, this is the heart of the problem. When email was first invented, it had zero built-in identity verification. Just think about that for a second. It means any scammer out there can easily send an email that looks like it came from your bank or from a big company or even from your boss. It's a trick called spoofing, and it's dangerously easy to pull off. Okay, so obviously people knew this was a huge issue. So a couple of security layers were created to act as a first line of defense. They're called SPF and DKIM, and they're kind of like the internet's first crack at an ID check for email. So first you got SPF, which stands for Sender Policy Framework. The idea is actually pretty simple. A domain owner, say mycompany.com, publishes a public list of all the servers that are allowed to send email for them. When an email shows up, the receiving server just checks the list. If the server that sent the email isn't on that approved list, that's a huge red flag. Next up is DKIM, and this one's a little more clever. It attaches a unique encrypted digital signature to every single email that goes out. When that email arrives, the receiving server can check the signature. This proves two really important things. One, that it really came from the domain it says it did, and two, that the message wasn't messed with along the way. Now, SPF and DKIM are awesome, but they have one giant gaping hole. They can tell a receiving server, hey, this email looks suspicious, but they give it zero instructions on what to do next. Should it just let it through anyway? Send it to spam? Block it completely? They just don't say. And that is where our hero, DMARC, finally steps onto the scene. It takes SPF and DKIM and builds on top of them to create a real security shield. It's basically the missing instruction manual for keeping email safe. Okay, so DMARC stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. I know, it's a mouthful, but what it does is actually super straightforward. It's a policy that you, the domain owner, get to set. You tell every other mail server in the world exactly how to handle any email that claims to be from you but fails those SPF or DKIM checks. For the first time, you're in the driver's seat. So let's put it all together. Here's how it works. An email arrives. Step 1, the server runs an SPF check. Did this come from an approved place? Step 2, it runs a DKIM check. Is that digital seal still intact? And then, step 3, the DMARC policy comes into play. If either of those first two checks fail, DMARC tells the server what to do. Let it through, stick it in the spam folder, or just reject it outright. Simple as that. All right, so this all sounds like a pretty smart technical move. But what are the actual real-world benefits? I mean, why does this matter so much for a business or a brand? This really boils down to 4 key things. First up is trust. When you stop scammers from impersonating you, your customers can actually trust that an email from your brand is the real deal. Second, you get visibility. DMARC sends you reports that show you everyone who's trying to send mail from your domain, both the good guys and the bad guys. Third is delivery. Seriously, having a solid DMARC policy tells email providers like Google and Microsoft that you're a responsible sender, which makes them way more likely to put your emails in the inbox instead of the spam folder. And finally, there's compliance. It's getting to the point where DMARC is becoming a requirement. The big email providers demand it because it protects their users. And at the end of the day, it protects their own reputation too. So DMARC is incredibly powerful. No doubt about it. But, and there's always a but, setting it up and managing it can be a real pain if you don't know what you're doing. So let's talk about the easy way to do this. Look, the reality is trying to do DMARC all by yourself can get messy fast.
The reports it sends back are basically written in code for computers, not for people. And if you make one little mistake in your policy, you could accidentally start blocking your own legitimate emails. It's something that needs constant attention. And that's exactly why DMARC management platforms were created. They do all the heavy lifting. They take all that complicated data and turn it into simple, easy-to-read dashboards. They walk you step by step through setting everything up safely so you can get fully protected without any of the headaches. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Check out what this systems engineer had to say. He talks about how a platform like this protected his company from phishing attacks and gave them incredible insights. But the line that really stands out to me is the last one. The peace of mind is immeasurable. I mean, that's really what it's all about, isn't it? So I'll leave you with this one final thought. Right now, without DMARC, you probably have no idea who is out there using your company's good name to send fraudulent emails. Is your brand being used to send some of those 3.4 billion malicious messages we talked about? It's a question every organization needs to answer.